thank you very much for allowing me to share my thoughts on the cultural and humane approach to the fight of the COVID-19 in India, and particularly in our part of the country. Well, before I start, I would like to give some pointers, because in order to understand and appreciate the approach that we took to tackle the pandemic in India, it is possibly pertinent to understand the complexities of implementing social distancing in a country with over 1.3 billion people, spread across 28 states and 8 union territories, speaking over 720 different dialects. Also, add to that is the fact that we are one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Just to put things in perspective, we have about 464 people per square kilometers compared to 153 in China and just 36 in the US. But interestingly, one of the underlying factors across the country is the fact that we as a nation, across religions, across geography, love to be together, be it in celebrating religious festivals or attending rallies or even protesting. We love to do it as a group. And since the only now known remedy for the control of the spread of the coronavirus was social distancing, it was in a way very much against the very culture of the people. So therefore, this had to be tackled before the implementation of the lockdown and the kickstarting of the social distancing could start. Therefore, the Prime Minister, in his address to the nation on the 19th of March, when he first talked to talk to the countrymen about the serious concerns from the coronavirus and suggesting social distancing to spread to control the spread of the pandemic, he asked the people to observe the 22nd of March as a day when people would themselves do a people's curfew, something called a people's curfew, where people voluntarily decide to stay at home from 9 o'clock in the morning to 7 in the evening. And he also asked people to come onto their balconies or at home and clap for 5 minutes at 5 p.m. for the medical fraternity who are treating the COVID-19 cases. So this was a dress rehearsal, and therefore when he started the lockdown on the 24th of March, he started by thanking the people for enforcing the people's curfew and also showing solidarity with the medical fraternity. He then asked for a month from the people at large, which he said he was confident of implementing because they had demonstrated their will on the 22nd of March to take tough measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus. In keeping the motto with basically trying to use the cultural nuances and the religious nuances, he announced that he requested people to put off their lights for 5 minutes on the 5th of April and light lamps to dispel the darkness, as it happens during one of our major festivals called Deepavali. And all people across the country came together, put up the lights, turned on the diyas or the lamps, burnt, and this was in a way, trying to resolve that we fight the coronavirus, taking a cue from the basic religious and the social factors. And across the country on that day, the electricity consumption went down by 32,000 megawatts between 8:50 and 9 p.m. On the ground, the police had a reasonably tough time implementing the the lockdown and the social distance, because obviously people did not were not really attuned to it. So there were a lot of tensions between the people and the police at large, and the police had to take a very conscious effort to try and get over it, but trying to get closer to the people. So, for example, in a lot of places, the police ran errands for the elderly couples, and in certain cases, like in Calcutta, for example, they changed some of the popular songs, added words which were of relevance to fighting the coronavirus, and sang them for the people in the locality, thereby trying to build a bond. The private sector also contributed their bit by donating huge amounts of money. There are organizations which donated billions of dollars to the government to fight the coronavirus. There are organizations which feed thousands of people on their own every day, especially the migrant laborers who are stuck in various parts of the country. And in addition to this, so there was a lot of work being done by the private sector, a lot of work done by the government, as it is happening in Bangladesh. And as a result of which, after about 60 days of lockdown, as we speak today, we are just about 150,000 infected people with a 40% plus recovery rate and a mortality rate of about 2.0%. As of now, we are number 10 on the list of people who have been affected by the countries, number 10 country in terms of the number of people affected. In the initial stages, the sole purpose of enforcing the lockdown, etc., was to implement social distancing, prevent the movement of people from one part of the country to the other, from abroad into India, and from India to abroad. And the objective was basically to prevent the loss of lives. So it was more life. But then over as the days progressed, with the stopping of industries, with the stopping of all commercial activity, livelihood also became a very important factor. So therefore, on one hand, because of the stoppage of all industrial activity, all commercial activity, the huge number of migrant laborers, numbering a few million, people from Bengal, people from Bihar, people from Orissa, working in Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, and vice versa. The huge number of migrant laborers, day laborers, stuck in different parts of the country without livelihood and without any means of sustenance and without any knowledge as to when their work would again start. This was a huge humanitarian crisis. It was partly alleviated by the government offering them free food, a lot of voluntary organizations giving them free food, etc. But the uncertainty ensured that the people wanted to come back home. And this was a huge problem. So therefore, they had to start the process of repatriating these people from different parts of the country. But then unfortunately, they were coming in from areas which were, very highly affected by the coronavirus. For example, the Bombays or the Delhis of the country, which account for a major portion of the coronavirus affected cases. So they had to be screened, they had to be put into quarantine if required, so that they would not spread the coronavirus when they came back home. So this was a huge crisis. In the meantime, the government therefore decided to give a huge stimulus package, which runs into about $300 billion. A large portion of it aimed at the bottom of the pyramid, uh, with a lot of it being in terms of free food or free rations being given, and also a large portion of the money going into the medium and the small scale industry, which accounts for a very large employment base and is also a substantial contributor to the GDP. So as of today, these are the various things that are being done in the country. As of today, we seem to be on the path to recovery, but only time will tell whether we can eventually, we are all resolved fight the virus. And everybody, the government, the people, the private sector, everybody is fighting the virus without fighting the people who are afflicted by the virus. And we sincerely hope that there will be light at the end of the tunnel and we come out into a better world tomorrow. Thank you very much.